My dear friends, welcome back to an already delayed Brave Peters episode, which highlights another drama in the life of a watch collector. Being disappointed firstly by Seiko and second by a local store who sold me this watch with a factory defect without giving me the chance to change it. Just to give you an insight of how customer experience works today in 2022. Intro. Long story short, I spotted this Seiko SPB097 Twilight Blue Special Edition being discounted with more than 50% off. And I said, yup, great dial, nice case, cool bracelet, 6R15, dia shield coating, and the lack of an automatic Seiko in my collection. And I visited the store, I've seen it, I like the bracelet and the overall finishing, and I said, I will buy it. Was this watch purchase needed? Definitely not, I felt it wrong from the beginning. But still, I said this will be a good addition to the channel, the watch being very popular among the enthusiasts. And as a remark, before the watch was packed, I've seen that the date wheel is offset. But I thought the date was in that 11 to 2 PM date range change, and I said, yeah, it should be fine. So I left the store, and in 2 or 3 minutes I felt the need to set the watch properly, to wind it and to set the date. So I wind it, I pulled the crown once, I set the date once, it was offset. What? And then when I set the date once again, so I immediately packed it back and I went to the store that I just left 5 minutes before, and I said, hi, I just noticed that the watch has a mechanical defect with a date change offset. And the lady said that she cannot change it with another one without a defect because the watch was under the discounted status. And she guided me to visit the next day the service store to explain the situation so they can issue to me a change request. So remember, I just bought a watch and I was already supposed to be happy. The next day, I went with the watch to their service store to receive the change request for another one without defect. And they're surprised, the lady from the service said the same thing, that she cannot change it because it was under the discounted status, and once you leave the store you cannot change or return a watch. And I was once again like, what? It's not my fault that the watch has a defect. Anyway, the lady from there said that I can leave it in the service so the watchmakers can fix it. However, I asked disappointed to leave it in the service for how long, and the lady answered, up to 2 weeks, we will call you. Obviously, I didn't let it there, I left upset. I cannot believe that the joy of buying a watch can transform so quickly into a bitter experience just because their employees couldn't verify their merchandise before they put it available in the shelves. And sadly, everything had a direct mental consequence to me. Being very disappointed by the experience, I just wanted to get rid of the watch. And that shouldn't happen. However, a takeaway for everyone, no matter the continent, the country or the store, in order to avoid these stupid policies imposed by some companies, make sure that once you decide to buy a watch physically, ask the sellers to check the watch visually, to provide you all the cards, make sure that the date wheel works properly and the time can be set as it should. Otherwise you can end up having a similar experience as it happened to me. On a positive note, guys, the watch feels really great. I know that this platform was created a few years ago. Back in the days it was pretty accessible, as the Marine Master 300 wasn't that reachable, and since then there was some sort of a shift in the Seiko line. Precisely, if the Marine Master is the representation of Seiko tools, this platform was meant to cover the people that are not particularly into high-end Seiko tool watches, but they prefer a similar design with a lower depth rating and a more elegant case for an everyday experience. At least this is what I guess Seiko hoped for. The result is great. You get some sort of a Marine Master case at a 30% off the iconic tool. Elegant but playful in the same time. And that is why this was also called as the Baby Marine Master or the Marine Master 200. However, I think Seiko wasn't pleased with the people adoption for this particular model, and as a result, this platform was replaced last year by another Marine Master-like design, which is the so-called Marine Master 200 SBDC 127. However, as a personal point of view, I think this mid-range diver is a compromise of you spend 1,500 euros on a Marine Master wannabe, and as a result I would prefer to save and buy the Marine Master or not buy it at all. And I find it crazy how Seiko has the courage to ask us for a big amount of money for a Willard wannabe, a Marine Master wannabe or a 62 Mas wannabe, especially when everyone perceives Seiko as a brand for everyone that offered for some time incredible value for money. That Seiko is gone. And as much as I like the brand and the nostalgia of what the brand represented, that Seiko will no longer be for 3 main reasons. Firstly, the brand changed its strategy, offering today expensive watches, increasing significantly the values of those who were considered as affordable. The second point is they literally started to offer some sort of fashion watches, offering colors for every wardrobe that you can think of. Here's an example of how the Seiko Turtle is made now in 45 versions. The same happening with the Seiko 5 or other iconic models. And the third reason is that some brands or micro brands appeared, offering more and more value than Seiko used to do. But getting back to this baby Marine Master, as measurements this watch stays pretty good on the wrist, surprisingly for a Seiko diver. Specs wise feels big. We have 44mm in diameter, 49mm as lug to lug, 13mm in height and 20mm between the lugs, having 168 grams with the bracelet sized for a 7-inch wrist. We have an aluminium bezel insert, a flat sapphire crystal, 200 meters water resistance, a screw down crown, and inside we have the Seiko 6R15. This is the old version of the movement with 50 hours power reserve and an offset date. As finishing there is the Dia Shield coating, which makes the diver's surfaces to be a bit more durable to scratches, which I find it justified for the price range. As packaging, this Seiko Marine Master 200 Twilight Blue comes on a similar packaging as the original Marine Master, which is a cassette type of a box. And inside we have an extra strap, which is a regular rubber, the same offered on a Turtle for example, nothing fancy. Now if we change the strap carefully without scratching the sides, there we go. This Seiko rubber is comfortable, but in my view it's not matching somehow the elegance of the case. In detail, surprisingly, I find the case more interesting than the one from the Marine Master, the iconic one. The case profile is very aggressive. I do love and enjoy the angle that unifies the bottom side facet and the top polished one. Also, the banana profile of the case reminds me of the Seiko Sumo, which provides elegance and strength in the same time. And branding wise, on the right hand side we have this time a plain polished crown without any signature, and honestly I prefer a simple crown than being signed with the one from the Prospects line. And moving to the bezel, we have a nice polished coinage outer bezel. The movement of it is very accurate for Seiko. It requires quite a lot of strength to move it, and definitely cannot be moved by accident. The aluminum bezel insert looks fine, it aligns perfectly. And what's curious, because of the light blue dial associated with the red-orange accent, feels like the black insert is more towards dark blue than black. And as a combo I perceive it as a Pepsi Patina bezel than a Coke bezel. The downside is that the orange-red accent reminds me of the sporty paddy versions than their elegant black baby Marine Master, which is more elegant and sober. And this Twilight Blue dial represents, according to Seiko, the reflection of the sea at the sunset of Malta Island. And I was quite confused. Seiko, Japan, Malta. And I was thinking maybe the vice president of Seiko spent a vacation there and he liked the watercolor. Or maybe the sun is different in Europe, who knows. But yes, the result, except for the orange accent from the bezel, feels very cool. The sunburst dial is very special, associated with the orange accents of the indexes and the seconds hand. And again, surprisingly for a new Seiko, the quality of the metal which surrounds the loomed indexes feels pretty premium, compared even with a Swiss-made watch, which is on the same price range. However, that arrow from the hour hand, I find it mismatched for this model. I mean, on the Tuna Marine Master 300 looks very well, but in this case I find the case and the dial too elegant for this particular hour hand, and it does not work at all with the indexes. Now, the selling point for me was actually the bracelet. Across 2021 I had the chance to own, to review and to see high-end Seikos or Grand Seikos, but equally experienced the low-end Seikos on bracelet. And indeed, this bracelet feels superior. It is worthy of the price asked. The bracelet is all brushed. We have rounded end links on the side, where the middle links are geometrically faceted, having the main link pattern brushed and the end of the links polished. So this is a cool accent, but it doesn't bring that unexpected preciousness on the wrist roll, because those polished links are discreet. In terms of dimensions, we have a taper from 20mm to 18mm, and there towards the end we have an extra diver's extension that continues the shape of the clasp. I mean, I believe that this is a diver's extension, and I say I believe because I wasn't able to open it, not even with tools. And as bracelet adjustment, I was telling you on the last episode that I am not bothered by the push pins as long as they're well built. Well, in this case I had the chance to forget that Seiko puts collars on the bracelet joints, and I kinda spent some time on the floor to look for them, just to close the bracelet again, otherwise the pins will fall. But overall I think this bracelet is quite qualitative. for the Seiko price range, especially for a 55% off. And in terms of wearability and comfort, firstly, as looks, the case shape lays down on the wrist very well. On paper the case measures in diameter around 45mm, but it wears way smaller. The height is reduced compared to a regular Seiko diver, and that makes it very wearable. The weight of the watch is around 170 grams, but still I do not find it uncomfortable on the wrist. However, as much as I hate the new Seikos or their new strategy or the faulty offset date wheel of this baby Marine Master, I just can't say that this Seiko SPB097 J1 Twilight Blue Special Edition is a bad diver. It's actually one of the best Seiko designs that I've ever owned, and it is a pity that sits under the shadow of the iconic Marine Master, but I personally can cope with that. And in the end, guys, I'm really curious to know, how's this new Seiko brand for you? How relevant do you find it? I mean, it's just me or everyone sees this Seiko shift that offers less and asks more from us? Please let me know in the comments section. So thank you once again, Kulto, for this amazing buying experience. I'll probably think twice before I buy something from your stores. So thank you for watching, hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you're new here, please consider subscribing for future episodes. Thank you very much. And until next time, be brave but stay safe.